Logan Hastings had always been a man of control. He dictated the terms of his life with the precision of a master chess player, every move calculated, every decision intentional. But that night, as he sat alone in an upscale restaurant on Valentine's Day, his world unraveled in a way he never could have predicted. The restaurant was alive with murmured conversations, soft music drifting through the air, and the gentle clinking of wine glasses. It was the kind of place where lovers celebrated their connections, where whispered affections were exchanged over candlelight. But Logan was alone, nursing a whiskey that swirled in his glass like liquid gold, his sharp blue eyes staring into the amber depths as if they held the answers to all the questions he had avoided for years. Then, he saw her. Sophie Carter. A name that once tasted sweet on his lips, a memory that had been locked away behind doors he swore never to open again. She sat at a table across the room, bathed in the glow of soft lights, her laughter as warm and melodic as he remembered. But she was not alone. Seated beside her were 3 small figures, 2 identical boys and a little girl. They were talking, giggling, their small hands gesturing animatedly as they shared a moment he had never been a part of. Something in Logan's chest tightened. The boys, sharp jawlines, piercing blue eyes, mirrors of himself at that age. And the girl, delicate yet exuding a quiet strength, had Sophie's fire in her expression. He clenched his jaw, fingers tightening around the glass until his knuckles turned white. 3 years. 3 years since Sophie had walked out of his life. 3 years of silence, of unanswered questions, of nights spent convincing himself that whatever they had once shared had been buried beneath his relentless pursuit of success. But now, staring at those children, a horrifying realization crashed over him with the force of a tidal wave. They were his. His heart pounded against his ribs, a furious drumbeat of betrayal, regret, and disbelief. The restaurant, once a haven of predictability, felt suffocating. The air thickened, his control slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. Setting his glass down with a quiet thud, he pushed to his feet. He had spent his life orchestrating every aspect of his existence, ensuring that nothing ever happened beyond his grasp. But this shattered everything. With each step toward Sophie's table, his world tilted further off balance. The hum of the restaurant faded into the background, the weight of lost years pressing against him. Sophie looked up as he reached the table, her smile faltering, eyes widening with recognition, and something else. Fear. Guilt. He couldn't tell. But it was there, a flicker of unspoken truths lingering in the space between them. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The children remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing, their laughter an innocent contrast to the tension thickening in the air. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, Logan finally asked, "Are they mine?" The words hung between them, electric with accusation and years of unanswered questions. Sophie's lips parted, and for a fleeting second, something raw flickered in her expression. Pain, hesitation, and finally, resignation. She exhaled slowly, her shoulders slumping. Then, with a quiet nod, she confirmed what he already knew. "Yes, Logan. They're yours." The world tilted. The ground beneath his feet vanished. 3 years. 3 lives he had unknowingly abandoned. He swallowed hard, his mind racing to catch up with the brutal truth before him. His entire life had been built on power and dominance, on ensuring that nothing ever spiraled beyond his control. But this was chaos in its purest form. A silence stretched between them, heavy with words neither knew how to say. Logan stood rigid, every muscle coiled tight. Sophie met his gaze, steady yet weary. She had always been like that, unshaken, even when faced with the storm that was Logan Hastings. His voice, when he finally found it, was low and edged with something dangerous. 3 years, Sophie. 3 years, and you never told me. She exhaled slowly, her decision evident in the exhaustion lining her face. I tried, she murmured. I called. I left messages. But you never answered. A sharp pang shot through him. He had ignored those calls. He had assumed she was reaching out in desperation, hoping to salvage something irreparably broken. But now, staring at the faces of his children, he realized the magnitude of his mistake. He turned his attention to the boys. One stared at him, expression guarded, suspicion flickering in his sharp blue eyes. The other, more relaxed, tilted his head in curiosity. But it was the little girl who clung to Sophie's sleeve, her dark gaze flicking between her mother and the stranger who had disrupted their dinner. Why didn't you try harder? Logan demanded, his voice tight. Sophie's eyes flashed. You think I didn't? She hissed. You were untouchable, Logan. Your assistant blocked me. Your number changed. And even if I had gotten through, do you really think you would have listened? He hated that she was right. Hated that he had been so consumed by his ambition that he had shut out everything else. I want to meet them, he said firmly. Sophie's jaw tensed. This isn't just about what you want, Logan. They don't know you. You can't just. They're mine. His voice was raw, edged with something dangerously close to desperation. I lost 3 years. I won't lose any more. Sophie studied him, something unreadable flickering in her gaze. Then she sighed, running a hand through her hair. Fine, she said at last. Tomorrow. The park near my house. Noon. And with that, she turned back to the children, her expression softening as she ushered them toward the door. Logan watched them go, his heart pounding with an unfamiliar mix of dread and longing. Tomorrow. He had until tomorrow to figure out how to be a father.